Oda just revealed Zoro's entire family tree going back to the days of the legendary samurai Ryuma. But he didn't stop there. We also have a massive revelation concerning a certain Tama, a controversial plot twist surrounding Chopper, and by the way, did you know the Pokemon canonically exists in the One Piece world? Sometimes these SBS segments are, let's be honest, a little bit shaky. It's mostly questions about man parts and more man parts. But this is so huge that it's actually caused a lot of controversy online in regards to why this information isn't in the actual series. So we've got a lot to talk about, and let's get into it. The first item on the old narrative agenda is the rather extensive Zoro family tree. Weirdly enough, Zoro has gone from the Straw Hat whose family we know least about to the one that we know the most about, even more than Sanji. We don't know who Sanji's grandparents are. But everything stems from a group of travelers who left Wano 55 years ago, including Shimotsuki Kozaburo, the man who made both Wado and Enma, as well as Shimotsuki Furiko, who was the older sister of Ushimaru, that Zoro lookalike who Yamato met as a child. Oh, and Minatomo was also there. He's the carpenter who appears in chapter 1, and someone who I guess is now like at least 55 years old, and that's if he left Wano as a baby. Altogether, there were 25 people who sailed away from Wano and towards East Blue, and this journey, it took quite a while to make. From the time they left Wano to founding Shimotsuki Village was 3 years. And even then, only 10 of the original 25 citizens stayed in Shimotsuki Village, meaning that there are 15 other Wano citizens who just went elsewhere, including Minatomo, I suppose, who ended up in Fushia Village. And Shimotsuki Village is actually a collaboration between the 10 Wano citizens and some existing villagers who were saved from mountain bandits. Old mate Kozaburo ended up mating with one of the village women, and together they produced a son, Koshiro. Koshiro then, during the course of his life, met an unknown and unnamed woman, and they went on to produce Kuina. That's one side of the family tree, but here is the much more interesting side. Shimotsuki Furiko, sister of Ushimaru, partnered up with a villager named Roanoa Pinzoro, who was a swordsman and is the grandfather of Zoro. Furiko and Pinzoro had a son which they named Roanoa Arashi, which means storm, indicating that he was a rather rowdy dude guy, and Arashi fell straight into a puddle of love with a bandit's daughter named Terra, with the two of them eventually intercoursing, which resulted in the one and only Roanoa Zoro. Unfortunately, as is often the case in One Piece, Zoro's parents were both victims of sad tragedy. Arashi died at a relatively young age after a battle against pirates, which may retrospectively contribute to why Zoro hated them, their pirates, so much at the beginning of the series. Meanwhile, his mother pulled a banshina and died of an illness, thus leaving Zoro quite thoroughly orphanized. From this, we have 3 conclusions. 1. Zoro and Kuina are related, although it's hard to tell exactly how because we don't know Kozaburo's relation to Furiko. Secondly, Zoro is indeed also related to Ushimaru, who is Zoro's great uncle. And thirdly, as a result, Zoro is indeed a descendant of Ryuma, and thus probably has more right to Shisui than he does to Enma. So the reason why this is controversial is because a lot of people weren't thrilled that this information was presented in an SBS as opposed to, say, the actual series. And my personal opinion is that, it's fine. Oda made it very clear that he doesn't consider Zoro's lineage all that important, and had outright stated that he probably wasn't going to include it in the manga. And the other thing is that Zoro himself doesn't care about his heritage. He's much more focused on the future of his dream and even achieving Luffy's dream. With someone like Sanji, exploring his family was very important because his character is one big struggle of identity. It's about Sanji coming to terms with who and what he is. But that's Sanji, and Sanji is not Zoro, and that's not what Zoro is. Zoro is who Zoro is, which is not that. He's not hyper-focused on, oh my god, I'm a Shimotsuki, what does that mean for me, Zoro, and my character? He doesn't care. And even if this was revealed in the manga, it would have led to a lot of complaining regardless. I mean, just the idea that Oda may have taken the time to introduce 6 new characters into the already bloated Wano, just to serve the purpose of telling us that Zoro is a distant relation to people of vague relevance. Actually, you know what? Here's how it would have gone. If it was a quick flashback, then people would have complained that Oda didn't give enough time to exploring Zoro's family. I mean, he's a protagonist after all. And then if it was an extended flashback, like say several chapters, then people would complain that Oda was bloating and elongating Wano for no reason, because this has no real hard-hitting dramatic outcome. And again, Zoro himself does not care. Family stories work well with characters like Sanji and Robin because they have more identity-focused struggles, but this fanbase sometimes has a bit of a weird fixation on biological family. I say weird because One Piece is a series deliberately created to explore found family. Time and time again, Oda has stressed that biological family practically irrelevant. But also, time and time again, the fanbase kind of fabricates a sense of importance and then gets upset when the author doesn't do the thing it is they want to do and instead sticks to his original ideas. And in the end, I think the name says it all. He's Roanoa ZORO, not Shimotsuki ZORO, which means that he embodies the random nobody villagers much more so than his Wano heritage. Now, as it turns out, Tama has a hidden lineage and was confirmed to be Kurozumi Tama, which has been theorized by the fanbase for quite some time now. It's because we saw a panel of her at her parents' graves with writing that looked like it might say Kurozumi, but it was all like too squiggly to make out. However, it is now confirmed that Tama is indeed a relative of Orochi, further showing the irrelevance of biological family in this world. But this is not a topic that is free of controversy either. This was actually a really spicy SBS segment for the internet, and this is mostly because of the Kurozumi line at the end of Wano. And I would say it's specifically an issue with the scans. With the scan translation, Hiyori's line could be read as her saying that every Kurozumi was born to burn, whereas with the official translation, it made it very clear that she was only talking about Orochi. Even then, it's a talking point because Orochi himself is also a victim. He was a monster created by the people of Wano, and he could have very well turned out to be more like Tama if not for this whole Kurozumi genocide thing, which is something I agree could have been done much better. I think that Oda set up a very interesting idea there that ended up being distilled down to bad man is bad because bad. But also we had a question regarding Chopper. Good day! I really love One Piece and I've heard that Wano has ended. It's so sad that people in Wano who ate the smile fruits keep laughing. Can you make Chopper heal them before he departs? It's so sad that Killer is always laughing as well. Fair enough question, to which Oda replied, it's very sad for a child to keep laughing even if their parents died, right? But unfortunately, Chopper didn't have the ability to make that kind of drug. In this world, sometimes there are things that you can't do anything about, and this story is one of those cases. But I'm laughing because Killer keeps laughing, and it made the whole kid crew decide to become a more joyful pirate crew. It's so nice if there's joy for people even in a hard situation. I believe in the strength of the people of Wano. I mean, the introduction of Smile Fruits is one of the most gut-wrenching plot twists in the entire pirate story. Especially in retrospect with everything we know about Nika and bringing joy and happiness and just having that twisted and perverted with this stupid Caesar fruit. But this forms our trio of SBS controversy because a lot of people were not pleased with us leaving Wano without addressing this. Perhaps even having one panel where Chopper promises that one day he'll come back and cure the smile stuff. Something like that. Although I have to say I am completely neutral about this one. I did expect Chopper to find a smile cure because it's just the kind of thing he does, and he may still find that cure in the future. In fact, coming into contact with world-renowned fruit engineer Dr. Vegapunk may even lead to a smile cure collab down the line. Because realistically, smile fruits aren't a disease. They transform your body at such a core level that I'm not sure it has a cure, at least not in the way that we traditionally think of one. And I guess there is something inspiring about encountering and overcoming adversity rather than relying on some sort of magical storybook cure. But then again, Chopper's entire dream is pretty much to find a magical storybook cure for everything, so there's always hope. But for now, we have a Sanji-related inquiry. In chapter 1032, Sanji's eyebrows were reversed, but in chapter 1044, they returned back to normal. Why did they change back to normal? Another fair question, to which Oda replies, you have a good eye. Indeed, Sanji's eyebrows changed. Going back to the Whole Cake Island arc, Sanji's siblings were each born with superhuman abilities and a strong exoskeleton due to the manipulation of the lineage factor. However, due to his mother's interference, Sanji was born as a normal human. Oda then goes on to point out that each of the other siblings have those 66 eyebrows, while Sanji's are the opposite. However, his latent power of science manifested in the wake of his fight due to the raid suit. These powers already gave him an abnormal resistance to the heat in the past. It was a mystery before, but now it finally makes sense. Does it, Oda? Does it finally make sense? Because interestingly, I'm just going to put this out there, you didn't answer the question. The question of why his eyebrows then turned back to normal. I mean, the explanation is that his latent powers awakened, which of course changed his eyebrows to match his siblings, but why did they go back? Does that mean that Sanji can kind of deactivate his biological enhancements? Something I do know is that Kurouma, a character who has only appeared in a single chapter, is confirmed to be based on the actor Akira Kobayashi, who is best known for work in the Battles Without Honor film series, starring Bunta Sugawara, who is the visual inspiration for Fleet Admiral Sakazuki. It's a series of 11 films, which is so many. But fascinatingly, these films were produced by Toei, which also handles the One Piece anime. So everything is cyclical. You produce your live-action film series, then you produce your animated TV series featuring characters inspired by your live-action film series. But this next question is my favorite one. In chapter 1045, Next Level, Kaido says Imonogatari, an illustrated story. Does that mean that manga doesn't exist in the world of One Piece? Wait, has Kaido never read One Piece before? So in the Viz translation, Kaido says it's like something out of a comic strip, and we do know that comics exist in One Piece. The obvious one is ZORO, Warrior of the Sea, a series known all throughout North Blue and published in Big News Morgan's newspaper, featuring the marine hero Sora battling the evil German 66. Sora also being the name of Sanji's mother, but according to Oda, there are many more popular series in world. Picture books and illustrated stories do exist in One Piece. Picture books are just picture books, but think of illustrated stories as the manga in the world of One Piece. Since there is no concept of speech bubbles, the story is told through text and dialogue within a frame, similar to manga. Some famous titles in the One Piece world include Sora, Warrior of the Sea, Fire Dog, Pokémon, Monkey Ball, and Mako-san. So it's confirmed that the One Piece world has its own Pokemon series, and Monkey Ball is an obvious reference to Dragon Ball, but the one I didn't know about is the most intriguing. Maruko-san is actually quite a sad story, because it too is based on the real-world manga called Chibi Maruko-chan by author Momoko Sakura, who was a friend of Oda and tragically passed away in 2018 as a result of breast cancer. So this inclusion is a very sweet reference to one of Oda's friends. I'm curious, do the later crew members, Robin, Frankie, Brook, Jinbei, know about the adventures in East Blue, and what the veteran members, mainly Usopp, went through before they joined? This is something I've always wondered, especially with characters like Brook who know almost nothing about the pre-time skip adventures. It's a mix of knowing and not knowing, really. Considering the personalities of the original members, Luffy and Zoro both don't really talk about the past. Nami, Sanji, and Chopper will talk about it if asked. Usopp will talk about it even if you don't ask, but the adult members are good at detecting lies, so they usually get information from Nami, Sanji, and Chopper. So from this, I think the general gist is that the newer crew members know about the past, whether they want to or not, because Usopp will loudly and persistently continue to regale them with his heavily edited stories. So the rest of the crew probably only really know the half-truths of what happened before they came aboard. Also, someone requested that Oda draw Kaido after having eaten a sour plum, which is something I never knew I needed until I saw it.